Something about the way people react to you has been confusing you lately. Not just compliments, not just people saying that you look younger than your age. It's the way strangers soften around you, the way people open up to you too quickly, the way some people stare at you like you remind them of something they lost. And your future self needs you to understand something. This was never just about genetics, because there are people with perfect genetics who still look exhausted by daily life. And there are some people who've been through heartbreak, grief, stress, betrayal, who somehow still carry this softness around them, this energy, this lightness. And that's what people are reacting to when they look at you. Your future self keeps showing me that your spirit has been trying to heal faster than your mind believes that it can. That's why some of you started changing physically after you finally walked away from the chaos. Not immediately and not overnight, but slowly. Your face softened, your eyes looked more clear, your body stopped carrying the same heaviness, because the nervous system remembers everything. The body keeps the score. And this next part matters more than you realize, because your future self says the reason you've been feeling so emotionally tired lately is connected to how long you've been carrying energy that was never yours to hold. And once you see that, you're going to understand why your spirit has been begging for peace. A lot of people think that stress is just mental, but your body treats emotional chaos like survival. That's why some people age rapidly during toxic relationships. That's why grief can completely change someone's appearance. That's why you can physically see the difference between someone who feels safe and loved and calm and someone who's been living in constant emotional stress, tension, and turmoil. Your future self keeps showing me that there were periods of your life where you were surviving environments your soul never truly relaxed in, always preparing, always anticipating, always trying to keep the peace, always emotionally translating other people's moods or absorbing other people's energy, especially if it was negative energy. And eventually, your body started carrying it too. The jaw tension, the eyes get tired, the heaviness in your energy, that dark cloud, the emotional exhaustion that sleep alone couldn't fix. But something changed recently. Maybe you stopped chasing certain people. Maybe you stopped explaining yourself. Maybe you stopped trying to rescue everyone around you. And your spirit noticed. That's the strange thing about healing. Sometimes your soul starts glowing again before your life fully changes. And your future self says, that's exactly what's happening now. People are starting to see a version of you that you haven't fully recognized in yourself yet. But before this transformation fully settles in, there's something your future self wants to warn you about. Because not everyone is going to understand why you suddenly feel different. Some people only know the version of you that was tired, but you're entering a season where protecting your peace is going to matter more than proving your goodness. And I need you to hear something. Peace is not selfish. Your future self keeps showing me that you spent years believing love meant endurance, enduring disrespect, enduring emotional confusion, enduring relationships that drained you, enduring situations that constantly pulled you away from yourself. But your soul was never asking you to endure that life. It was asking you just to live. And one of the biggest shifts happening inside of you right now is that you are finally realizing you cannot heal in environments where your nervous system never feels safe. You can't heal in environments where you're still being hurt. That realization changes everything because once someone truly experiences inner peace, real peace, they stop finding chaos attractive. Think about that for a minute. Once you have peace, the chaos is unattractive. And some of you are already noticing this. Certain conversations exhaust you faster now. Certain people feel heavier than before. Certain environments suddenly feel emotionally loud. That's not weakness. That's your spirit becoming more sensitive to what drains it. Your future self says this sensitivity is actually protection because your next chapter cannot be built with the same emotional habits that nearly destroyed your energy in the last one. And there's another reason this matters because the more peace your body feels, the younger your energy starts becoming again. Not childish, but more free. And there's a difference. And your future self wants to talk about that next because some of you accidentally learned to confuse seriousness with maturity. Somewhere along the way, a lot of people stopped allowing themselves to have joy, childlike happiness and joy and wonder, not because they wanted to, but because life hardened them. Responsibilities, stress, disappointment, survival mode, and eventually they forgot what it felt like to feel light, to feel free. But your future self says that joy is not a luxury, it's medicine. Real joy changes people physically. You can see it in their eyes, in their posture, in their voice, in their presence. There's a reason children often look radiant. Their energy moves freely. They almost look angelic. But adults learn suppression. They hold in emotions. They hold in stress. They hold in resentment. They hold in fear. And eventually the body starts reflecting what the spirit has been carrying. Your future self keeps showing me the part of you that's healing right now is relearning how to feel safe enough to enjoy your own life again. Not perform happiness, not to fake it, but to actually feel it. Some of you haven't laughed deeply in years. Not really. Some of you forgot what it feels like to wake up without emotional heaviness already sitting on your chest. And in this next season of your life, it's trying to return you to yourself, not the exhausted adult version, not the worker bee hyper vigilant version, not the version of you constantly trying to earn love, to earn respect, but the real you, the lighter you, the version of you that existed before survival became your personality. And honestly, that's the part of why certain people are suddenly drawn to you. Your energy is changing, it's shifting. People can feel when someone starts to become emotionally free, to become more authentic. But there's another part of this transformation that your future self says is even more powerful than joy, and it's forgiveness. And before you click away, you need to understand something. Forgiveness is not about pretending something didn't hurt you. Your future self says that forgiveness is release. It's choosing not to carry poison in your own body anymore because resentment has weight, bitterness has weight, unprocessed anger has weight. And some people carry emotional pain for so long that their entire nervous system forgets how to relax. Your future self keeps showing me that there are old emotions still living inside your body that were never fully processed. Not because you're weak, but because you were just trying to survive. And in survival mode, we have an expiration date. Eventually, the soul asks for freedom. And I think some of you are finally reaching that point where you're tired of carrying old pain into every new season of your life. You're tired of mentally revisiting old wounds, tired of replaying old conversations, tired of emotionally carrying people who already moved on. And your future self says the moment you truly realize, your energy changes almost immediately. Not because the past disappears, but because you stopped feeding it your life force. You stopped giving it any real weight or any real power. That's why forgiveness often makes people glow differently. Their spirit becomes lighter. And there's something else your future self wants you to understand here. Forgiveness does not always reconnect people. Sometimes it separates them peacefully. Sometimes healing means blessing someone silently and releasing them. Bless and release, and never letting them close enough to wound you again. That balance is important because your future self says your kindness was never supposed to cost you your peace. And this next part might explain why your spirit has felt so restless lately. You're outgrowing environments that no longer match who you're becoming. And that's why your tolerance is changing. You used to over explain, now you withdraw quietly. You used to chase clarity, and now you notice it first. You used to ignore your intuition to keep relationships alive and comfortable. Now your body reacts immediately when something feels off. That's growth. And your future self says this shift is making you more magnetic than you realize. Not because you're trying harder, but because your energy is no longer leaking out everywhere. People underestimate how beautiful peace looks on someone. A regulated nervous system changes your entire presence. There's a softness that starts appearing, a groundedness, a warmth. And ironically, that's usually when people begin saying things like, "You don't look your age." Because what they're actually seeing is emotional lightness. They're seeing someone whose spirit is slowly coming back home to itself. But your future self says there's still one thing you need to stop doing before this next chapter fully opens. You need to stop apologizing for becoming harder to access. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. And honestly, part of your healing has been learning that constant availability was never proof of love. Sometimes it was fear, fear of disappointing others, fear of abandonment, fear of being misunderstood. The version of you you're becoming now is learning something different. Peace requires boundaries, and boundaries protect your light. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you emotionally healthy. Your future self says the reason your spirit is beginning to feel younger again is because you're finally carrying less emotional weight, less drama, less resentment, less chaos, less emotional performing. You're returning to simplicity, and simplicity heals people more than they actually realize. The soul was never designed to constantly live in emotional warfare. It wasn't designed to live in constant drama, and it was designed to experience life, to love, to create, to laugh, to rest, to feel wonder. And I think your future self is trying to remind you that you're allowed to become soft again. Not naive, but soft. Because softness after pain is wisdom. It's strength that no longer needs to scream. And the beautiful thing is, the more your spirit heals, the more visible it becomes. People will feel it around you. Animals will feel it around you. Children will feel it around you. That warmth, that calmness, that emotional safety. Your future self says that's your real glow. Not perfection, not age, not appearance, but energy. That kind comes from choosing peace over emotional survival. And I think that's the message that your future self wanted you to hear today. That the light returning to your face, that softness returning to your spirit, that emotional freedom slowly returning to your body, that's not random. That's what happens when the soul finally stops fighting itself. And maybe that's the real meaning behind people saying that you don't look your age. Maybe what they're actually seeing is someone becoming alive again. Until next time, stay magnetic, friends.